So, hello everyone, this is Jules Vietas speaking. I hope you're having a wonderful day and welcome to the online teaching SIG webinar week. We prepared this, this whole week of webinars to help you become a better version of yourself in keeping with online teaching. And I do have to apologize to all the participants who wanted to be in this session here. And for the first time ever, we have a full house on our webinars. We have 100 participants, and that's our limit. And Valeria, our first speaker, I mean, she really struggled to be here with us. So thank you very much. It seems that the limit has been improved. Now we have more than 200 speakers. This is unbelievable. So thank you very much. I'm super happy to see this taking place. Now I was trying to broadcast on, okay, it seems to me that it's being broadcasted on Facebook. So can you please check on BRAZ TESOL's Facebook if it's being broadcasted there as well? Could you please, any one of you, go to Facebook, BRAZ TESOL, and see if the session is being broadcasted there. Thank you very much for helping me here. Too many screens popping up here, and it's very difficult to catch up with all of them. So let me just try to find here now our guest speaker, the amazing Valéria França. So Valéria França, here she is. So Valéria, now you should be a panelist. So you should probably get a notification now, Valeria. So you should reply to it to become a panelist, and then you're going to be our co-host for this session. Sorry about that. Just waiting for Valeria here. Probably she sent me a message. Just check. Okay. I think she's on the way. Okay, so far. Okay, now Valeria is here with me.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Valeria.
Hi, can you see me and hear me?
Yes, yes. Super happy to have you on board. Let me just, now that you're here, I can put my mobile phone on silent mode. I was worried. Man, what a struggle to be here, huh?
Yes, absolutely. It's a huge struggle. Thank you very much for sorting that out. I'm very happy to be here with you all, but I'm going to begin apologizing. So, as you know, the reasons where BRAZ TESOL has organized these events is because of the coronavirus. And I live in a city just about half an hour away from Rio, in Niterói, and today actually we've gone into lockdown. So I'm in lockdown, basically self-isolation since Monday, real lockdown as of today. So it's just myself and my son. As some of you know, I have a 13-year-old son, but he's a special needs child. So it's just myself and my son. So I will play around with showing screens, sometimes being online. You will hear background sounds, and sometimes I'm just going to go back to the screen, so I sort of rescue my son a bit. Okay, so I apologize for that, but that's the reality I'm facing right here, and I'm happy that you're all here. So I'm going to try and share my screen.
Just give me a second. I need to introduce you.
Oh, you need to introduce me. Okay.
You're superstar in the LT. Maybe there are some people who don't know you, so I'd like to have the honor to introduce you to these people. So Valéria França is Head of Learning and Development at Spot Educação. She has worked in the field of education for over 28 years with a strong focus on primary education, ELT, online education, and professional development. She is a BRAZ TESOL past president. In today's session, she's going to talk about teaching children online. So Valéria França, thank you very much for being here. It's all yours.
Thank you very much.
Just click on screen and open your presentation, click on share screen, and off you go.
Yes, so can you see my screen now? I think you can all see my screen, I hope. The idea here today is for us to actually look a little bit at options we can have when we're teaching younger learners online. Now, I have never taught a young learner online. So what I am actually sharing with you is my experience as an online educator, because I have done a lot of that, okay? And sharing a few tips, and then bringing some of the elements of teaching young learners and teaching children to the online scenario. So we begin thinking of best practices and work things out. Now, each teacher's reality will be different. Some teachers will be teaching one-to-one. Some teachers will be teaching group classes, okay? So we really don't know what your situation is. So you're going to get the information you received this afternoon and try and make it relevant to your own teaching scenario, okay? So what I want to show you then is a couple of ideas I had so we can think about this together. Okay. The first thing I'd like to mention to you are a couple of best practices that we can have when we are teaching young learners, okay, when we're teaching online. The first thing is to really make sure you set up your teaching space. This might seem silly, but it's really important because the same way we are very worried about presenting ourselves face-to-face, so there is a dress code, there is a way of addressing our students and so on. When we teach online, that is equally important. So we've got to monitor that. And remember that when people see you, they need to see you. So you need to ensure there's good lighting. So I always try and work close to a window so that there is the natural light rather than, you know, sort of electric lights. But I mean, electric lights are fine as well, but nice and light is always good because then everyone sees you. And also make sure that whatever is behind you looks okay, all right? So I like to sit against a wall because I know no one is going to come behind me, right? So that's a tip I like to give as well. Because we're teaching children, obviously, children, depending on their age, won't be able to use the online environment, okay? So what we want to ensure then is that they can actually, they have someone with them who can actually help with the online access, okay? So it means we do need to be in touch with parents, right? We do need to share with parents what we're going to be doing. We do need to let parents know how we're going to run the lessons, what our lesson structure is, so what we're planning to do. If the student needs to do something or bring something, or for example, if you've decided to work with colors, perhaps you can send parents an email saying, we're going to work with colors, we need children to bring in colored pens, color pencils, different objects with different colors. The colors we're going to use are these colors. So in a way, you're preparing the parent for what's going to happen because they're not going to be able to be there with you. The child won't be able to do it by themselves, okay? I don't know if there are any questions. If there are, you can ask me, but I'm a bit lost how I'm going to go back to checking questions. So afterwards, Julio might help me out, okay? Another thing we can actually also need to do is give parents access to the online environment. So we need to schedule lessons. So different people will be using different platforms, right? There have been a series of platforms which have been made available to students for free, okay, for teachers for free. I'm sure if you Google it, you'll find out. Today at lunchtime here in Brazil, they were showing some of the platforms which are available for online use for free now. But whatever platform you use, you need to share the link with the parents of where the children are going to have the lessons, okay? Chances are parents are going to be sitting next to the children. So we're going to be very gently when we talk to parents and explain what the process is. Also let parents know that they need to be next to the child, but they're not supposed to be in the video with the child necessarily. The focus is on the child, okay? So they can be there supporting. It doesn't matter if they don't know English, because one of the things we're going to suggest is that teachers actually sort of share what they want to do with parents so that parents know what to expect, okay? So we do need to make sure parents also know how to use the online meeting area. So my suggestion is, if you're teaching from home for the first time online, or you know, if you're teaching a classroom, if it's an institution, chances are the institution will have been sending parents information about how to access the online area. But if you're a teacher teaching privately, why don't you record yourself on a small video, just telling parents how the online area works and so on. In this age of online access and teaching, we need to make sure we see each other, okay, at some stage. So it's very nice to actually, rather than just send an email to parents, you can actually send a small video just telling them how things are. And it also means that they see you, they know who you are, and that makes life much easier. It's some form of contact, okay? And again, explain the lesson structure and framework to parents. So I'm going to show you now a suggestion. I just want you to look at it. I can see there's some questions here. I think I'll go back to the questions at the end rather than address them now, because I might get a little bit lost, okay? Just to let you know, but I've seen the questions, okay? Whoops, sorry. Right, sorry, I'm losing myself. So this is a suggestion I thought of in terms of what we can do. The structure has to be simple. Because it is children, I'm suggesting that we do shorter lessons. So face-to-face, we might even teach 1 hour lesson. But with online, the children's focus normally is already a bit more complicated. So I do suggest you reduce the online time, okay? You can supplement your lesson with additional activities afterwards, which the child can do at home with the support of the parent, okay? So if you've promised an hour lesson, you know, cover less ground face-to-face, online, and set some activities as part of the activities they can do at home. That would be one of my suggestions, okay? So I suggest a welcome moment. Now, you know, when children come into our face-to-face lessons and they bring something from home and they have something to show, we can't lose that moment, because that is a bonding moment with children and we need that. So even online, we are going to build that into our online session. So if the child has sent you, you know, bought a toy, wants to show you the toy, remember they're at home. So the world's the limit in terms of what they want to show you, because when they go into class, they can only take one toy. Now they can actually show their whole room. So they will have things to show. There is a novelty there. So they're going to want to show you something. So let them show, even if it isn't in the target language. I suggest that you do allow time for this interaction and this exchange, okay? So welcome moment is very important. And also, if you've asked them to do something at home which they need to bring in, so for example, you've asked them to do a drawing, what I'm suggesting is that when they come in and you want them, okay, show me your drawings. One of the things we're going to show parents how we want to do these moments is we're going to show parents how the children can show their drawings online if they're using a computer. They might be on a laptop, they might be on a computer with a webcam. So you really have to find out where you're going to position. So one of the things I suggest for us as teachers as well is that always position yourself so that you have some space. Depends if you're left-handed or right-handed, but make sure, as I'm right-handed, this is more comfortable. I've got a place where I can show something. If I want to, I can bring a close-up of whatever is being shown, okay? But practice a little bit, you know, positioning yourself in front of the camera so that you can show them. Also, if you want them to turn to a page on the book, you want to show the page, but they need to see you because they're seeing you and they're looking at you, hearing you as well. For us adults, it's easier to put headphones on and manage looking at the video, showing something, speaking at the same time, showing a screen. For children, multitasking at this level is difficult. So you're going to get children showing things like this. So you might have to give them advice to bring it down so you can actually see it, and so on, okay? So these are little tips which I like to share sometimes. So you've done the welcome moment. They might have shown a picture they drew at home. You've commented on it, or they've shown a toy which they really liked, something they enjoyed doing. The weekend, remember, very soon everyone will be in lockdown. So everyone's at home. So parents actually are going to really enjoy this moment where children can be online having a lesson. Then I suggest we follow a traditional PPP approach to this lesson, okay? We present something, we practice it, and then I wrote in the last one, there's a typo, it should have been production, I put presentation, but production, presentation, and you'll see why. But there is a moment where we're going to be presenting the language we want to work with. So we're going to use a lot of realia, we're going to use objects. We went into lockdown yesterday, from yesterday evening to today. So many teachers don't have their teaching resources with them because they left it at work if they work in schools. So you might not have much stuff at home. So you're going to have to improvise a lot. So when I say realia, sorry, now you can actually hear my son. Sorry about that, but realia can be anything you have. So if you have a little small dolly, if you don't have a puppet at home, a small Lego dolly will do, okay? We might have instruments. Obviously, as I have a child at home, I have this stuff. So instruments we can use. I've even got here this. If we don't have instruments, get a plastic bag, stick things in, and it becomes an instrument. So, okay, so that's nice and easy to make. And felt tip pens and so on. So all the resources you need, improvise. Don't worry that you don't really have things. I was looking at other things I have. I tried to separate it here. I had a few flashcards at home. Now, this flashcard here is a counting game flashcard. But for each of the flashcards, there is obviously a number, but there's an animal. So, you know, I'm going to use it to teach my animals. I'm not going to worry about the numbers too much, okay? So repurpose the stuff you have at home, right? So that's when you're going to start the lesson and actually show them things, present the language you're going to be working with. The language might be in a song. So if you're going to be singing a song with them, the same practice we have when we go face-to-face and we teach a song where we prepare the song, we teach the language chunks, we sing it bit by bit with them. We're going to do the same, but we just might do it a little bit differently, and I'll show you a little bit later on, okay? And then the presentation, which should have said production bit. The idea here, and this is my suggestion, right, is that you get, by the end of the lesson, the child doing something which they can also present. One of the things we're going to find really difficult at this stage is to give students a sense of progress, right? Parents will find this difficult and students will find it difficult. So it's going to be very, very difficult for us to gauge. So we really need to make sure that at the end of the lesson, we do something that we ensure that parents see that the children have learned something and students feel they've learned something, okay? So if they've drawn a picture and they've shown it, we're going to make sure that at the end, the drawing, they can name the different things, name the colors they've used, what type of animal is it if they've drawn an animal, elicit language which they can deal with, okay? Or if it's a song we've taught, we can actually teach the song, okay? And get them to sing it together. And then round off the lesson, just what I've called an exiting activity, something that we're sure that, you know, bye-bye, lovely to see you, how are you feeling, did you enjoy the lesson, are you ready for next lesson, when's our next lesson? Children need routines. How do we create routines when we're teaching online? It's much more difficult, but it's not impossible. So the routine we're going to create is very much based on how we deal with the online lesson. So that's why I like that there is a little framework I can follow, or a structure. This gives the child a sense of security on the online lesson, but also for parents. So, you know, when are we next meeting? What's the day of our next lesson? So we create the expectation. We create the desire for the child to be with us again on the next online lesson we run. Okay. Is everything okay? I think I see more questions. Okay, I will address it. The screen isn't there anymore. Tati, can you actually see the screen? Okay. Questions about advice for teenagers? I might go on to that at the end. Using a TV screen which is wider than Valeria, do you think an online class for kids using a TV screen which is wider than a laptop would help keep the dynamics for a long time? It might, but actually I don't think that's it really. It all depends how your child interacts. So if you have a child who interacts really well with a tablet, you might find that they will enjoy using the tablet much more than a laptop, which they might not be used to. So my suggestion is whatever technological resource they have at home and feel more comfortable with, get the parents to stream the lesson through that technological resource. So it might be a tablet, it might be a computer screen, it might be the TV if you can actually, you know, hook up your computer to the TV. Okay, so Stephanie, I hope that's answered your question there. So okay, on we go. I'm going to show you the next screen, and now we're going to actually go into the nitty-gritty of the lesson. So, sorry, I'm going to go back one point. My very first point on the slide was lesson structure, theme-based planning, okay? You might be using a course book, you might not be using a course book, but what I suggest also to give this sense of guidance and purpose and structure and routine is create themes and then work the lesson based on the theme. So the theme might be colors, the theme might be the environment, the theme might be families. In fact, families would be, you know, relationships and so on. Whatever theme you choose, build up a sequence of lessons based on that, okay? And then choose the resources. So if we're talking about a 45 minutes lesson, we're not going to be able to do much, but we might be able to do a coloring activity and a singing activity, or we might be able to do a storytelling activity and a coloring activity. So I would aim for about 2 activities per lesson. If your students are quick, maybe 3, but create a theme for your lesson, okay? I think that will be really important. I can see participants are raising hands. I will go into the chat in a while, okay? But it's going to be very difficult, but I will catch up with the chat in a minute, okay? So hang in there because I will go back to all of this, okay? So I'm now going to go on to showing you the different activities we can do. And then you're going to, when you plan your lesson, really think what activities you're going to include in that lesson, okay? So I began with coloring. Now, we don't have photocopiers at home. We might not have our teaching resources because we might have been gone into isolation before we were ready for it. And certainly parents might not have things. So this is when we have to thank the gods that we have the internet, okay? So just to give you an example here, this is the Crayola site where you can download for free PDFs for coloring, and they're theme-based, okay? So I just showed you this one. I am not plugging a product or anything, but it's just that I thought there was so much option here. And it's something you can share with parents. But the idea here is sometimes we want to do something with the children where the parent, if they can, will print something out. We also have to be ready for situations in which parents can't print something out because parents don't have a printer at home, like me. I don't have a printer at home. So if the teacher asked me to print something out, I wouldn't be able to do it. But you will be able to find online coloring activities which can be done on tablets. Okay, so that the child can color. In fact, Crayola actually has this, okay, and it's an app, if I'm not mistaken. Or we're going to even simplify it. We might just send parents a suggestion of, we're going to be talking about animals. These are the animals we're going to be doing. Get the child to look at the animal and create their own drawing of the animal. But the template helps us with the idea of what animals we want to focus on, okay? We really need to be careful with what resources parents have at home. Now, if you're teaching with a school book, obviously life will be easier because the child will have the school book at home, okay? But it might not be the case. But coloring is really important. And when I talk about coloring, I am not just limiting myself to ready-made coloring things. There might be things which we're going to do at home as we're teaching. So, for example, as I'm talking to you, I'm just going to try and create a drawing. We don't have to be master drawers, but what I've done here as I was talking to you is I've just drawn the drawing of a ball, okay? So imagine I've done a picture of a ball. What I can do is I can ask the student, right, draw a ball like my ball, or draw your own ball, okay? And then we're going to color the balls, okay? So I'm going to color one of the segments in one color, I'll color the other segment in another one. So as I'm talking to you, I'm coloring, and here I have sort of the colors, right? We're going to invite children also to do a bit of coloring, because if we want to work with the topic of colors, this is a great opportunity. If you've got more than one student online, you can personalize it. They will choose different colors. We can teach the colors, okay? So we can teach it orally. And this is when we need to begin using microphones, right? We need to teach parents how to use microphones so that individually, sometimes we can ask the child to unmute the microphone and they can actually say what the colors is. So the colors are. So here we have red, so I can use red, and I can do drilling. I can do chants as well. And this is where I'm going to give you the activity, but we understand when we're teaching young learners that it all becomes mixed, doesn't it? So a coloring activity can lead into, very nicely, into a chanting activity. So for example, I'm just going to improvise a chant here. What colors have I got on this ball? What colors have I got on this ball? I've got red, red. I've got pink, pink. I've got blue, blue. What are the colors on the ball you've drawn? Okay, something like that. Probably not the best chant ever, but what I'm just trying to say is we need to improvise and do things which can work really, really well, okay? So that might be an idea, right? So merge one activity into the other. So we can actually do the drilling, which is not drilling, it's chanting. Get parents to mute and unmute microphones, right? If you're brave enough, if you've only got 2 or 3 children, you can actually ask them to all open the microphones so they can do it together, okay? But I think it's risky if you have more students to get everyone to open their microphones, because it's going to be a huge wave of noise, because no one's going to start at the right time, no one will finish at the right time, okay? So that's a point. So that's one of the things I wanted to show you. It's 2:30 already, so I'm going to go on to the next slide here, if I manage to. So this next slide sort of moves into another activity here, which we can do, which is actually telling stories. And I've actually asked myself the question, when is it a story? When is it a rhyme? Okay, so this is a children's book I have at home here, okay, which is this one. It's Colors by Shirley Hughes, okay? That's the book I had. So it's actually a very nice book because it looks at different colors. So this is the color yellow, but she writes it as if it were in rhyme, and there is a sort of poetic feel to it. So this bit here is a lovely illustration here. I don't know if you can see it, okay? And it says, sun like honey on the floor, warm as the steps by our back door. So this is the picture I took. So if we just read it, we're looking at the color blue. Baby blues, navy blues, blue socks, blue shoes, blue plate, blue mug, blue flowers in the blue jug, okay? How we're going to deal with this with our children. Sorry, my son is enthusiastic by the rhyme, so it means it's probably works. He's enjoyed it. We have lots of opportunities with this idea here. So if you use PowerPoints, you can create your PowerPoints, share your PowerPoints with the students through screen sharing. What we're doing here in this Zoom meeting is screen sharing. Most of the online transmission platforms allow for screen sharing, so you can create something and share it with the children. This means you can control the language you're showing. For children who don't read and write, we need to do a lot more oral work and repetition and chants. For children who are in the middle of the process, we want to use the written word and the oral, the spoken word, okay? But for children who can read and have begun to read, we can actually show them things. So what I did is I just took a photo of my book and I stuck it in the PowerPoint. It's clear enough for us to show. So even if parents don't have the resources, we can expand the resources available for us by taking a photo and putting it on a PowerPoint, okay? So what could I do with this? I'm telling a story. I'm thinking about the color blue. We've been coloring. And as you see here in this page, she's talking about different blues. So one of the things we can do with children is say, right, show me the different blues you have at home. You have 1 minute to go into your room and collect 3 different blue objects. And they go off for 1 minute, and then they're back. Hopefully they come back and they don't get distracted, but then that's where parents are going to help us. And they bring in blue objects so they can show it in front of the camera, okay? This is great. Obviously, if we have loads of students online, it makes it much more difficult. If we have fewer students online, it's a little bit easier, okay? So that might make life a bit better. So again, we've gone from language work, poetry, rhymes, telling a story. We can tell stories about the colors. I don't know if you know that story. I can send the link afterwards about the crayons, the day the crayons rebel. The author, which obviously I've forgotten his name right now, Jeffers, he's on Facebook and he's conducting live storytelling sessions every evening. If you follow him on Instagram, he saves all the live sessions on his stories, right? So you can also hear the stories. You can download the stories, some of the stories as well if you go into his site. So find connections where you can actually expand the work you're doing in class, and it can be go beyond the classroom, okay? And here I'm sharing an idea, which is one of these examples where we can do something at home which can go beyond. So this is a famous children's book, The Snail and the Whale, okay? The Snail and the Whale is a children's book written by Julia Donaldson and Alex, I think it's Scheffler, you pronounce it, his name, okay? Sorry, I've got on participation here from my little one. And the lovely bit about this is that people love this book so much that you can find many versions online of people telling the story. So if you haven't seen the story before, you can see the online storytelling. But what I'm trying to encourage you here is that if you've got a picture book at home, check to see if there are any online resources ready and see how you can work with it, okay? Telling stories is really important for children. One of the things we know about telling stories is that the sound of our voice engages students. Generally speaking, picture books have lovely, apart from lovely pictures, but they also have a lovely sort of rhyme and rhythm, and it's a good way for children to pick it up. If you're a teacher and you have a storybook at home and you've never heard that story being told, but you can find an online version, it will help you also feel more confident learning how to tell stories if you've never done this before, okay? So it's another resource which we can use with students, but we can also use for ourselves for our own development, okay? So this book is such a lovely tale. I like it so much because of the idea of the snail, which is so small and goes on a huge journey. This is the type of book also, which I think, considering the fact that we're in lockdown, is the type of material I would love to use. I need to help children dream dreams during the lockdown period. We don't know how long this is going to last. They're not going to be able to go outside depending on how strict lockdown is. So we need to enchant them. We need to take them to other worlds. And any stories which take children to other worlds is absolutely fantastic. And I think this is why I like this. But also I like it because you have loads of resources available which you can use to supplement your teaching, okay? I can see now that there are 56 sort of exchanges here. Yes, can we share our screen so we can share a storytelling session on YouTube for a child? Juliana, that is a good question and it's a good point. Yes, we can, but this, for example, this one, which I think is here, it's an 8-minute storytelling. Now, parents are paying us to teach. So what we could do is we could send the link, we could begin telling part of the story during our face-to-face session. We can send the link to parents, get them to watch it with the children, and then we can go back the next lesson to it. So that would be my suggestion, okay? I think that would work quite well. I'm going back to the questions here, just to see if there are any points here I need to address before it's too much. We need to write on parents' assistance in order for the kids to focus. Yes, I think so, we will. Remember, parents will be together with children in lockdown, okay? So they're there, right? So we will count on them, okay? I have the same questions. We'll start online in early April. I have groups of 8, 10 young learners. Yes, it is going to be a challenge. So I think if we've got 8 to 10 learners, what I would suggest, I don't know what your teaching context is, Raquel, okay? If it's private school or if it's your own online students because you were teaching privately before. But what I do suggest is that you check with the students that they can all use the technological resources, check with parents, okay? And have one first session in which you all share the use, and it's a discovery area, discovery lesson. Because then the more familiar they are with the resource itself, the technology, the easier your lessons will be, okay? Someone's saying here that they had an experience yesterday for the first time with a 13-year-old student. What really worked was trying to vary the activities. Yep, lovely suggestion. Okay, how much L1 should be used in comparison to face-to-face classes? Again, I don't know. I don't know. I think it all depends how many students you're teaching. If you have course books, I suspect that will be easier, okay? If you don't, it might be a bit more difficult. But again, the child will probably initially interact much more in Portuguese with you. The best practice we have for our face-to-face classes, which is try and engage them, answer them in English as far as possible. But remember, there is a text chat, and we might ask parents or the caretaker to be with us very close in the text chat, because if the children don't get it, we can type instructions in the text chat and parents can help the child, okay? That would be a suggestion, right? Let me see if there's anything else. Then you were talking about different platforms, array of activities again, and then talking about platforms. Let me see. A suggestion of a book, you can actually have a look, yes. Right. Right, so I think I can go on. Yes, Shel Silverstone children's books, lovely, 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 fantastic suggestion. It's in the chat box, so see if you can collect that link and use it. Yes, I agree. I think they might be more focused on us because they do like the screen, don't they? So that might make life easier. Okay, so I'm going to move on. Okay, because I don't think I'm going to be able to answer everything. Using puppets, okay. Sorry, I went one ahead. Let me go back. Ooh, using puppets. So puppets are really useful. We might not have them at home because we weren't able to bring them, right? But the puppets are going to help us a lot as we teach. What I want to make sure ensure you understand is anything can be a puppet. So I happen to have quite a few at home. So I have a glove puppet, right? So the glove puppet, I can actually do what I normally do in classes, which is talk to the puppet, and he can say hello, and he can help me because we're going to color something. So he's going to hold whatever we need to use. So now we're going to color something. Do you have your blue pencils with you? Now you need your pink pencils. So the puppet can help us as well. It doesn't just have to be me. The puppet can say hello. I can, for example, when we do the welcoming bit, I can say, hello, everyone. Hello, Foxy Fox. This is a silly name, but I've just invented it. Hello, Foxy Fox. How are you doing? Are you fine? He's fine. Do you want to say hello to him? And then open your mics and get the children to say hello. And you're going to invent a better name than Foxy Fox, right? That's a ridiculous name. Okay, but can you see that the puppet can make it even more interactive? So this is a lovely puppet. I like him. He can do a lot. He can do the movements. So for example, if I'm singing a song, he can help me as well. So I've also got puppets which aren't puppets. So for example, like this toy Spider-Man here. But he can work as a puppet. So if I want to sing a song, head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes, head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Why do I suggest using Realia or a puppet to sing a song which involves movement? Because you need a really big room to be seen on screen and to do the movements. And it might be very difficult. So if you want to encourage movement, the child can be doing the movements. And you can actually ask them, if parents allowed, to have the cameras on so you can check the children are doing the movements. But you use the toy to help you with the movements, okay? Because it might be very difficult for you to do movements, present, show a slide, check what students are doing. It's just rather too much, right? So this is a puppet. This can work as a puppet, and this can work as a puppet as well. So, you know, she's a character everyone knows from Toy Story. I don't know her name, but she could help kids, you know, with things as well. So the puppet just works as an intermediary, a mediator for the learning experience, okay? You know the way we do with children, we take a mascot home and they have to tell what the mascot did. Well, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Google and use Google resources, but, you know, a lovely thing would be to get parents to, you know, get children to take photographs of their favorite toy and what the toy did during the week. So take photos and you can begin creating an album which can be shared via a Google Drive with the photos, okay? This can be expanded. Afterwards, the teacher can get, if you're teaching a group, you can get children's different photos and you can, for example, practice daily routines. So brushing your teeth, having lunch, reading a book, watching TV. Okay, or you can practice what are your favorite toys. So you get the children to and the parents to take photos, share it in the Google Drive, and bring then the images on a PowerPoint, which you share during your lesson, and it makes much more sense. It's personalized, it's relevant, it's real. One of the difficult things we're going to find is making learning real for children when they're online, okay? And so this is a way of trying to bridge that gap, right? Moving on, because my time is running out, nursery rhymes, okay? Now, the internet is full of options for nursery rhymes, okay? You can hear them being sung, you can play them, you can have just the audio, you can have audio and images. I've got a couple of books at home which I like, but the nursery rhymes are always the same, okay? And you can actually sing them with children. You can ask them, you can sing with the children, present the language to them, create a PowerPoint where you've got the different chunks of the nursery rhyme so that you can present sentence by sentence and learn the song, okay? And then you can sing it together, right? And then you can get the children to draw the pictures. How does that nursery rhyme make them feel? How do they feel about it? So Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, it's a very easy song to sing. Then they can share their drawings and they can talk about, you know, their favorite, whatever the nursery rhyme brings or whatever idea is behind the nursery rhyme, you can share it somehow, either through a coloring activity or through a drawing, free drawing activity, which you can do, okay? Let me just check, there are 12 questions now. Let me just check if there are more. I think I'll just go on to movement and then because then we're coming to the end. As I said, movement is important. These children are in lockdown, they need to move. But within reason, because we have our limits, right? So again, you can find super simple songs, which is a fantastic resource. Here we have head, shoulders, knees, and toes. You can link it with your realia and your toys, and the children can sing it with you. They can practice it at home. So you begin the next lesson with the children singing it, okay? But for example, one of the things they could do is that they could do a picture with, you know, which you can send to parents, just the words, head, shoulders, knees, and toes, and the children can illustrate and then show it to them. The idea is to allow in your lesson some form of movement. So it might be, go to your room, get 3 blue objects, bring your favorite toy, show it to me on the camera. Let's sing a song with movement. Show me, look at the camera. Movement might also, for example, let's suppose that something you did was to get them to create a musical instrument. So if they're shaking it, you know, there is some form of movement and interaction as well. So try and build the sim. It's going to be very timid, but you can try and build something in, right? So movement links very nicely to the songs you're working with, okay? Movement can also be when we're telling a story and there's repeated language chunks that we get the children to do the gestures for that section of the story. So for example, oh no, yum, yum, delicious. Yes, he's happy. So use gestures as well to help with the songs, to help with the teaching, to help with the storytelling. Okay. And I've just realized I've put movement and the picture which don't match. But no, I know what I was thinking of. I was thinking here, movement in terms of the teacher, right? Flashcards. Now, if you're lucky enough to have flashcards at home, fantastic. Flashcards are a fantastic way of teaching, not only for us to bring unpredictability. So what animal can you see? We can use the text chat if they're old enough to read and write. We can ask the children to open up their microphones and actually say what animal they can see, okay? And the same applies, except I've lost my cards now. I don't know where they are. To the little cards here. Oh, I know where they are. They're on the floor. They fell. My number cards here, which I found. You know, how many can you count? 4 tablecloths. Okay. The thing is that flashcards bring unpredictability, and you can play with repetition, and there is a sort of movement. And what will happen is, because we're dealing with the unpredictable, the child will be much closer to you as well, because they don't know what's coming next, right? So if you don't have flashcards, but if you have pictures or magazines, if anyone still has magazines at home, you can cut up, great. If you have access to a printer and you can print things out, fantastic, okay? Why am I suggesting you use something which you show? Because it helps with the unpredictability. Another alternative is, if you don't have any of these, prepare a PowerPoint with the images and you just share the PowerPoint, and then it will be equally unpredictable, okay? So I think that's a nice way of dealing with it. Yes, okay, so that was the last slide. I am now going to address the 500,000 questions, but I'll start with the chat box, okay? So I'm going to go back to see what questions I haven't answered. Which platform would be the best? How do you manage students speaking at the same time? I don't encourage speaking at the same time, Amanda. I suggest tell them to unmute microphones. I would suggest speaking at the same time if we're going to chant something together, but then you're doing a countdown. Right, we're going to sing this song together, right? At the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Twinkle, twinkle. Okay, then we count them down and we try and get it together, and we need to go very slow. Okay, what platform would be the best? I think there are several. I think in the chat box you've shared several ideas. Zoom, Google Hangout. I'm sure there are others you've shared. Many are being made available for free during this period. Okay. If there's an activity with audios, what should we do? Right, now, this is a tricky one. Audios, it's very, very difficult to play live when you're teaching, because it depends on the person's bandwidth and what they can hear. So it is possible to stream audio live, but you never know how the person will receive it. So what I'm suggesting always is, if you want to use audio, make sure it's somewhere that you can share the link through the chat box or an email you've sent parents, and they can have access to it and they listen to it from their computer at home rather than streaming it. Okay, so that would be my suggestion. Can you tell us again the name of the teacher who, he's not a teacher, he's a writer, Jeffers, Stephen Jeffers, I think. I think his name, as I'm talking to you, I'm just going to Google him, but I'm pretty sure that is his name. And he's got Facebook, no, it isn't. I've got it wrong. So I'm just going to have to check this. It's Jeffers something, but I will check that as we speak. And Oliver Jeffers, sorry, Oliver Jeffers. That's his name. You can find him on Facebook and Instagram, okay? How can we encourage kids to create an imagined scene in storytelling class? For example, make them feel as if they're in the forest. Ah, right. Now, this is where technique we've used in ages, and people used to do it a lot in Suggestopedia back in the 70s. Get children, even if they're online, to close their eyes. Can you hear what, close your eyes. We're going to go into a journey. We're going to go into a forest, and you're going to hear different sounds. Now, if you've got, you know, things you can use at home to beat out the sounds, like, you know, it's a good, so we're going to, into a forest, and we can hear the sound of horses. So if you've got something which can make a horsey sound, for example, we can hear in the distance the horses running around, and we can hear the birds chirping if you have one of those little whistles. But if you don't have any of that, just go through the suggestion. Can you imagine? Can you hear the birds? What birds can you see? I can see a parrot, and it's all nice and colorful. It's orange and red and yellow, whatever. So get them into the climate of the scene you're creating, okay? Can we have students engage in group discussions while the teacher listens to them? Yes, we can. Again, we can do that. That will be for older learners. But unmute your microphone. Get students to unmute the microphone one by one, okay? Can we play a video or do a PPT presentation while teaching? Yes, we can, because you're going to do it through slide sharing. Most platforms have this resource, okay? But you can't do video and PPT. You're going to have to choose one or the other, okay? But you can do them. Right. Is it being recorded? It is being recorded. So I've managed to answer those questions. I'm going to go back to our chat to see if there's anything else. Please type in again anything if you think I haven't answered you. Yes, you can play sounds from forest and everything. Oh yes, you can include the video on the PPT, but then again, yes, Carlos, good idea. Just check the streaming, what it's like. Would it be suitable for a lesson for a 3-year-old? I would have less content. I wouldn't do it in 45 minutes. I would do it in 20 minutes, and I would make sure it's very short. Short contributions, focus on keywords, and maybe have a very, very short song which they can sing, okay? Okay. Is there anything I haven't addressed? Any questions you'd like answered? So if you wouldn't mind retyping it, because I can't seem to see anything else. Isn't it better to share the links instead of attaching videos? Adriana, it depends on what your reality is, and also what the children's reality is in terms of what they have bandwidth, okay? What would you consider minimum age for them to start having online lessons? I have no idea, but you know, try it out. If you're teaching one-to-one, see how the child responds. I have seen, right, here's a, I'm not plugging this, but I am suggesting you check them out. It's called Bebe Bilingual. It's Brazilian, it's Portuguese. It's on Instagram. It's a couple who've decided to raise their child bilingual. And their little girl's only 3 or 4. And they actually give fantastic tips on how to homeschool your child, right? But a lot of their ideas we can do in class. So I would suggest you have a look at them as well on Instagram, okay? Mind Bilingual as well, okay? Lovely suggestions there for Camilla. Right, using books and workbooks with children. Yes, I like the idea. If you've got a course book, I think will help you a lot. If there is a book that children can fall back on, yes, it will help because it will structure and guide you much more. So feel free to use the resources you have at home and which parents have as well. This is really good. Managerial questions. If lessons will be, oops, hang on, lost the question. If lessons, hang on. Da, da, da. I've missed it. If managerial, gosh, I can't find it because I've missed it here on the chat and I can't see it because the messages keep scrolling up and I can't see it. Sorry, very sorry about this. Okay. It's something about managerial something. So what's missing? What's different? Exactly, Martha. Great ideas, Martha. Thank you. What's missing? What's different? Yes. A fantastic thing to do is, you know, spot the difference. That's lovely, lovely, lovely. Can you name of the couple which homeschool? Yes, I'm checking the Instagram and I'll get it for you because they post a lot. They just went to the States. In fact, they just launched their own online course to teach bilingue. So it's this one, bilingue. Okay. Right. Yes. So I think this is me done, right? I thank you very much for all your patience with me. I think my son contributed a lot. He was very, very nice and he was very, very quiet. Those are the challenges we're facing. I put a picture of a garden because I can't see any gardens at the moment and that makes me feel good. We need to look after our mental health. So make sure you have 5 minutes or 10 minutes a day where you do something which really helps you mentally during this lockdown period, okay? And my case is looking at pictures of wildlife scenery. So that's why I stuck the flowers in. Thank you very much. Hope you've enjoyed this. Lovely to have you on board and thanks.
Thank you very much, Valeria. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So now you have to make me a host again.
So how do I do that? That's the big thing.
There's probably 3 dots close to my screen. By the mute button, you click on it, and then there might be an option called make host or co-host or something along those lines.
Make what?
Host.
Yes, where it says more, no.
Maybe.
Where it says all panelists at the bottom.
Yes, something like that.
All panelists. Yes, all panelists, no? Is that it? Are you on?
Make me host or co-host.
Host, não tem no meu. I can't see host. Participant can chat with, so maybe I haven't got the right. Yes, I can see it. I can see it. Yes. Sorry. I'm going to. Hang on. Make host. Yes.
Yes, I want to be host. Yes, I'm a host again.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That's amazing. And we had at a point 476.
Wow. I think this is, you know, we've for years we've been struggling for teachers to come online and do webinars. And I was thinking today that the reason this exists is for moments like this, really.
No, so that's legendary. That was, I mean, amazing. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you everyone for being here.